In the huddle this month, all we're dealing with is being consistent because peak performers are consistent. Hi, this is Walter Bond and welcome to Peak Performance Life. I want you to think, execute, and dominate. In the huddle this month, all we're dealing with is being consistent because peak performers are consistent. Aristotle says it best. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but it's a habit. So ask yourself the question, what do I repeatedly do? Because whatever you repeatedly do, whatever you do consistently, that's exactly who you are. Now, I've been doing research on this term consistency. It's so important for us to be consistent. I had to take my time and dig in deep on this subject. We all have heard this. It takes 90 days to form a new habit. So if you think about it, if you do something for 90 straight days, all of a sudden, it's a lifestyle. But here's the biggest mistake we make. Sometimes we miss a day within that 90-day frame, and all of a sudden we fall apart. But in my research, I found out if you miss one day within those 90 days, it has no impact on the end result. So the biggest mistake we make, we're off one day and all of a sudden we quit and then we get way off track and we slowly digress into a lifestyle we used to have. That one day you miss, guess what? It has no impact on the end result. So if you miss a day doing anything, in this 90-day period where you try and form a new habit, get right back on track, and it's like that day never happened. I want us to also understand we need to use human nature to our advantage. Our willpower is strongest first thing in the morning, and it weakens throughout the day. I want to say that again. Our willpower is strongest in the morning, and throughout the day it gets weaker. That's why it's easier to eat healthy first thing in the morning, and it gets tougher and tougher late at night. So let's use the morning to our advantage. We need to make sure we're consistent with what we do in the morning, because if we're consistent with what we do in the morning, the likelihood of our day following suit is much greater. And we're going to cover this every single time we get together throughout the month inside the huddle. So if you're not in the huddle, if you're not a part of our coaching program, you're going to miss out. So if we need to be consistent, let's start first thing in the morning. We need to wake up at the same time. We need to work out at the same time. We need to eat dinner at the same time. We need to go to bed at the same time. If we do that for 90 days consistently, all of a sudden, we will become what we repeatedly do. We have to take advantage of human nature. And in the morning, pop up at the same time and start your day right consistently, and I promise you the rest of your day will follow suit. And within 90 days, all of a sudden, we have a brand new you. Now, one thing I want to talk about is us as people and how we live. We all have a chance to be proactive or reactive. Haven't you met people in your life that are inconsistent? One day they're happy, the next day they're sad. We call them moody people. Here's the reality. I'm reading a powerful book that's changing lives. It's an international bestseller, and I know why. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Stephen Covey. And in this book, he talks about the difference of being proactive versus reactive. See, reactive people are influenced by their external circumstances. The sun is out, they're happy. It's raining outside, they're sad. People are nice to them, they're in a good mood. One person's mean to them, and all of a sudden their day is ruined. Now, if that's you, you're going to be very inconsistent. Why not be proactive, which means you take charge. Your external environment has nothing to do with who you are, how you behave, your disposition, or your mood. So if you are proactive, it doesn't matter if it's sunny or raining because it's sunny inside your heart. It doesn't matter if people are rude to you. You don't internalize it because you are proactive and you realize that's their problem, not your problem. So every single day, peak performance, we have got to be consistent. In fact, the only way you can have a strong personal brand within the work context, you have to be consistent. You need to deliver consistent projects. You need to perform on a consistent basis. If we go to restaurants and they're inconsistent, after a while you can't trust them and you don't want to go back. So we want to trust you. You have to be consistent. So peak performers who are consistent over time gains trust. Final thought and I'm done. You guys have heard of Michael Jordan. He averaged 7 27 points a game. My career high was 27 points. I did it one time. So there's no secret why Michael Jordan is considered the best basketball player of all time, and I had a cup of coffee in the NBA. At that time of my life, I was not able to be consistent with my production. I learned from my mistake. So when I wake up in the morning, every single day, I want to be consistent in my brand new industry. And over time, I have become what I repeatedly did. Now, you can do the same thing. You can become what you repeatedly do. So ask yourself the question, self, am I consistent? And give yourself an honest answer. And if you're not, we got work to do. And here's what I want you to do. For the next 90 days, I want you to create a regimented day. From the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed. And I want you to do that for 90 straight days. And if you're disciplined and regimented with that day, I promise you, first thing in the morning, if you get off to a good start, the rest of the day will follow suit. And if you miss one day in this 90-day period, don't worry about it. Get right back on track. Get right back to your rituals, because we are what we repeatedly do. Don't let that one-off day derail you from the other 89 days. My job as your coach is to help you think, execute, and dominate. And for all of us, if we want to be peak performers, we must be consistent. Because if we are consistent and we become what we repeatedly do, and if we're doing the right things and we're proactive versus reactive, we are well on our way to being peak performers. I want you to think, I want you to execute, and I want you to dominate. But it is so important as a peak performer for us all to be consistent. When I hear the sound of that whistle, it takes me back in time when I learned how to become a peak performer. When I played college basketball, my coach would blow that whistle and he would call all my teammates in, and in this huddle, he would motivate us, he would inspire us, he would teach us, he would correct us, and the reality is this, he called my name more in that huddle than anybody else's name. Here's why. He saw tremendous potential in me that was trapped and buried, and he wouldn't let it die in me, and he brought it out until I became an NBA player. In that huddle, I learned how to develop and become a peak performer. I learned two things: that peak performance is a process, but most importantly, peak performance is a team sport. I would not have reached my potential without my coach investing time and energy into my development. So here's what we've done for you. We created what we call Peak Performance Huddle. In this huddle, we want to do the same exact thing. We want to motivate you. We want to inspire you. We want to teach you. We want to even make you laugh. But the bottom line, every ounce of potential on the inside of you, I'm coming to get it, and I'm not going to stop until we pull it out. In this huddle, we're going to have webinars. We're going to have success tools. We're going to have interviews with successful people. We're also going to do phone calls, live phone calls, where you can hear my voice live, ask me questions, because in this huddle, the number one job, my number one job, is to help you reach your potential. We have two choices. You can do the automated coaching program, which is very cost effective. It can be available to you 24/7, 365. Or another option, you can do a huddle that's one-on-one with me. That's right, me and you, one-on-one, and we're not going to stop until you reach your potential. Your job, your only job, is to make it to the huddle. If you make it to the huddle, we'll do the rest. Sign up and register and get to the huddle, and Walter Bond will be there waiting on you, and we're going to help you reach that potential that's inside of you.